Hello, and welcome to the second episode of Emerge on the Reel, a live discussion that highlights the impact of our program through the perspective of our students, community partners, and staff members. My name is Neil Kang, and I am the Development and Marketing Coordinator at Emerge. And today, we have a very, very special guest with us, our very own Emerge scholar, Kendall Carey. Today, Kendall will share her personal story, her unique matriculation to the University of Southern California, and how Emerge has impacted her journey along the way. Before we start, we've included a Q&A session at the end of today's discussion where Kendall will have the opportunity to answer questions from our audience. So please feel free to type your questions in the comment section below. Kendall, thank you for joining us. Do you mind introducing yourself to our audience?
Thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction, Neil. Hello, everyone. My name is Kendall Carey, and I am now an Emerge Scholar. I am a freshman at the University of Southern California, and I am studying cognitive science with a minor in digital entrepreneurship.
Awesome. Kendall, so can you tell us a little bit about your upbringing, just growing up in Houston, maybe talking about your family and just explaining to our viewers who you really are?
So yeah, I come from a family of five. I live with my mom, my dad, my little brother, and my grandpa, and we are a pretty close family. We do a lot of things together, watch a lot of sports, a lot of basketball, go Lakers. Um, we're a pretty tight-knit group. Growing up, I was in a lot of different sports. I did gymnastics, I did cheerleading, I did volleyball, played a little soccer, basketball, pretty much any sport you can name it. And my parents would be out on the weekends, watching me and my little brother. And I was always, academically inclined, but I never was too focused on academics. I was just like, well, I'll go to school, do what kids do, get good grades. And then probably around middle school, seventh, eighth grade, I was like, okay, wait, this school stuff is actually kind of fun. I like math, I like science, like social studies. And so my family, they always pushed me in academics. They wanted me to be the top of my class, always straight A's. A B was very unacceptable in my household. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and my family.
Okay. So it seems like your family is you guys are very close knit, very close. Can you talk about how COVID-19 has impacted you and your family during this time?
Yeah. Okay. So luckily for me and my family, COVID has not been as hard on us as maybe other people. I was out of school, my brother's out of school, and my mom was at home because she didn't have a job due to COVID. But my dad, he went to work. And so it was a little different COVID because I do have an elderly grandpa that I live with. He's in his mid 70s. So just making sure, we're staying safe, staying cautious. I did actually have a uncle who passed away from COVID. He was in his he was in a nursing home and he was in his late 70s. And we went up to San Antonio for his funeral. So that was kind of hard on us. But other than that, COVID is really pushing through, staying positive, keep doing what we're doing.
Okay. So we know that you matriculated to USC. Remind me, are you on campus or are you studying virtually?
I am actually still in Houston. I'm studying virtually. We're like around in the beginning to middle of the semester. We had just took some of my first midterms. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, I am online and it's been interesting online classes, but it's definitely been an experience, but a positive one, I would say that.
Okay. So we understand that, matriculating to college, especially during the pandemic, can be a tough transition. So what do you think has been the most difficult adjustment from high school to college?
I would say the most difficult thing is just staying like cognizant of your classes. It's kind of sometimes I like forget that I'm in college and I forget that I'm in school. I'm just like, yeah, I'm doing work, but sometimes it doesn't necessarily feel like college. So it's almost about like taking the time to be like, I have to actually do work every single day. It's not often where I have time to like take a break. Like if I miss like a day, I feel like I'm really, really behind. So it's very different from high school where I could just like lounge around all day, do my work in the period before my class. And it's like you have to like manage your own time. Like I have to set my own priorities. And that's been initially difficult. And I guess it still is difficult because sometimes I just want to take 3 hour breaks, but I actually have lots and lots and lots of college work to do. So that's probably been the biggest adjustment in matriculating, just finding that um, I would say like trying to transition to college without having the physical aspect of it, but just like trying to change my mentality. Like, okay, you're in college now, and this is not just an extension of high school. Has probably been the biggest thing I had to work on.
Yeah, I'm sure it's weird because when you think of matriculating college, you think about moving to that city,
Hmm.
seeing the campus, seeing all your peers who are also matriculating with you. But you haven't been able to experience any of that, so I'm sure it's been a little weird for you, huh?
Yeah, it's been a little weird.
So, we know that the selection process for college must have been a very difficult choice for you. So, what made you select USC over maybe some of the other college and universities on your list?
Okay, well, it's actually a funny story. The University of Southern California was actually the very, very last school I applied to. But it worked out for the best. I'm very happy with my choice. So when I got my acceptance to USC, I was more excited about that acceptance than any of my other acceptances. So that kind of gave me this like gleam of light. I was like, oh, maybe I do want to live in Los Angeles. Like it's just like I had this very, very strong appeal towards it. So a big, very big thing came down to location. I actually stayed in Pittsburgh last summer, and I was at I was at Carnegie Mellon University, and I was kind of trying to decide, did I like living in downtown of the city and going to school there and doing that? And I realized that I really did have a lot of fun, and so that was really a big pull of Los Angeles. Another big thing was the city. My parents were not a fan of the East Coast. They don't like the cold. So they really wanted me to go somewhere that was warm and where they could like get to me. And I had family, in California, so that was a big thing for them. And just far as the academics at the school, um, cognitive science, the program that I'm in, is a very interesting program. It's still very new and emerging. And so USC was kind of where I wanted the program to be as far as like what departments they had in it, different classes you could take, the integration with other subjects. That was pretty much the biggest thing that really helped me pick University of Southern California.
Okay. So you talked about how you're majoring in cognitive science, excuse me,
Yes.
and you're minoring in digital entrepreneurship. I think those are two
Yes.
kind of majors and minors that you don't really hear about frequently. So how did you get into those two? How did you decide on majoring in cognitive science and minoring in digital entrepreneurship? And what do you hope to do with that major and minor? What are your career aspirations?
Um, so I first got into cognitive science just through exploring. I was on YouTube just looking up just strange things like UX design, just all kinds of different fields. And I knew that I always liked psychology and I always like consumer behavior. I just didn't know where that fit into like a career or even a major. And so when I went to Carnegie Mellon University, I actually took two college classes. One of my classes that I took was an emotion, passion, and cognition course. And I absolutely just fell in love with it. Like every aspect from learning about our own biases, learning about like just rationale and how like humans are not rational. Just that entire experience just kind of solidified that. I was like, oh, that is what I want to do. Like that was exactly it. I was just that class just kind of hit the nail on the head for me. And as far as like digital entrepreneurship, that it's a very has a very broad name, but what it means from the University of Southern California, it kind of is kind of like um, a combination of some kind of like front end web development classes, but also some kind of design courses and some business classes. So that's kind of what I want to do. I really like front end web development, like UX design, but I also like more of the business end of it. And so that's kind of just what USC calls it, but it's in like the engineering department. So it's a um, information technology major. So that's how I kind of got involved in it. And I'm still kind of exploring it. As far as what I want to do with the major, I honestly don't have any idea. I'm just kind of trying to stick myself out there. And I kind of think that no matter what kind of path I want to take, because I'm also interested in like the consumer behavior side of it. But what I'm kind of thinking, leaning towards maybe like consulting, filling out at a few different fields, and then maybe going into industry a couple years after that once I kind of see what I like and what I don't like.
Okay. So I know we've kind of talked about your college, your matriculation to college, but let's kind of rewind back. Do you mind sharing more with us about your experience at Westfield High School as a high school?
Yeah, so Westfield, I loved Westfield. It was a tremendous high school experience. I am gonna miss it. I drive by there sometimes and just miss Westfield. So Westfield was a very big kind of mash of different people, and it taught me a lot. As far as like the academics, I very much learned a lot from my calculus professors, my even from the law department at Westfield. Just all of my classes and teachers were very special to me, and the connections they made with their students taught me a lot inside of the classroom and outside of the classroom. And as far as maybe like the social aspect, just spending a lot of time like the College and Career Center, and just it was honestly, I wouldn't trade that experience for the world. It taught me a lot, and it might not have been the greatest while I was going through it, but looking back, I am going to very much miss my high school experience, miss the people that I met there, just the entire experience there. And in high school, I was involved in a couple of different things. I played volleyball and basketball, I think my freshman sophomore year. Um, then I did track sophomore through senior year. Um, I also was president of National Honor Society. That was a lot of fun doing that. But I was pretty much anywhere and everywhere at Westfield. But it was a great time.
Did you have any favorite classes that you took?
Mm, favorite classes at
Putting you on the
Westfield.
spot.
I have a couple. So maybe one of my biggest favorites was my CERT class. There was actually two other emerge kids in my CERT class with me because in our small cohort of five at school. So that was a lot of fun seeing them every day. And we just learned so much. And going into the class, I was like, it's an elective, I'll just get through it. I was taking like four other APs at the time and two dual credit classes. I was stressed, but that class was just so much fun. It was the last period of the day, and we got it. And I learned so much that I even applied to like my day to day life. Like in my head, like every time I see a situation, I'll say like the greatest amount of good for the greatest amount of people in the shortest amount of time, and I just pull all my search skills, and it's great. Another one of my favorite classes was calculus. Even though I did not enjoy calculus at all, I loved going in there every day, and like I would feel so proud of myself for just learning like derivative rules or integration. And even though it was very difficult, it taught me a lot about like pushing through, and that you're not really gonna supposed to get something the first time. And then surprising, one of my favorite classes was AP psychology. That class, it was a lot of notes. It was pretty content heavy, but my teacher was psychic, and I stand by that statement. And she was psychic, and she made the class just amazing. So those are probably three of one of my favorite classes at Westfield.
Okay. Can you kind of describe to us how you found out about Emerge?
So I found out about Emerge through an info session that they had at school. So I was sitting in my AP, now pre-AP chemistry class, and so a student aide came in and handed our teacher these slips and said, "Okay, around 90% of your students have to go down to the teaching theater." And so we all went down there. We sat down. Miss Woolard gave the presentation, and I just was like going and on of everything that she was talking about. I was like, okay, this can't be possible or true, as she's saying. It all sounded too good to be true. So I was like, well, it wouldn't hurt to apply. And so I went home, I did my research, and I applied, and it kind of, worked out from the best from there.
And can you describe to us how Emerge has played a role in your collegiate journey?
I would say Emerge is it's probably one of the biggest, or not the, but it's the biggest like factor in like where I go to school, what I know about the college application process now. Because going into high school, I had a pretty set plan for what I wanted to do. I was planning 5 years ahead. I was like going into freshman year, I was like, okay, I'll go to XYZ school and I'll do this, and that was kind of the straight line that I had destined myself to pass. And then going into Emerge, they just kind of like opened all of these doors. And I was like, whoa, I can go here and here and go explore this and that. And Emerge kind of pushed me not only to explore like different schools and stuff, but that's kind of how I found my academic interest. They kind of just pushed me outside of the box of like, okay, well, these majors listed, you don't have to do these. There's other schools with tons of different majors that you could pick from. Um, so I would say it's had the biggest effect. What I know about financial aid and what I can tell my friends and what I tell my family. And even like right now, my mom's going back to school. I help her fill out her FAFSA and things of that nature. And I wouldn't know how to do any of that. And I would consider myself a pretty self-sufficient person. I love to research things and just I hate ignorance. I just want to know more and more and more. But Emerge has even like pushed me past like my own like they're like they taught me things that I didn't even know I needed to know, which is I guess you don't know what you don't know, and so Emerge kind of was that step in and just providing me access and opportunity to help me get to where I am now.
Can you talk a little bit more about your Emerge program manager that was assigned to you to help you matriculate, and just kind of some of the first words that come up to the top of mind when you think when you about your
Okay,
program manager?
so I had two program managers throughout my time in Emerge. The first was Miss Willard, and when I think of Miss Willard, I just think lots of warmth, hugs, and cuddles. She just made everyone. She was like everyone's mom. Like in our cohort of 2025, like it was just an amazing, warm experience. You could tell her anything and everything. It was great. My second program manager, Miss Sierra, she was amazing. She's almost like a big sister to me. I would tell her absolutely anything and everything, and she kept it real with us. If there was something that we needed to know, she would tell us no matter what. She wouldn't sugarcoat it for us. But she was also very sweet, very nice, and she really did help like connect with us on like a personal level. And she would just tell us straight up, you have to have this done, Kendall. If you want to go to XYZ school, you need to make it happen. And so I would say that my program managers probably had the most um, direct impact with the merge. I felt really close to them, and I felt that I could tell them anything, ask them any question I had. I never felt like, oh, I can't ask a question, I'll look stupid. Like you could go in there and ask a question, and she would help you, even provide more information, and just it was great. My two program managers.
So looking back, what would you say are some big takeaways that you've learned about the college matriculation process that you didn't know before?
Mm. I would say that there's no one there to hold your hand. It's probably the biggest thing. Like just going through the entire like orientation process, even though it was online and picking classes, it was almost all sent through email. They were just kind of like, "Hey, this is what you have to do. Get it done." And so in my head, I was like mentally prepared. I was like, okay, and I kind of went on my own and kind of researched like how I register for classes, and I have a crazy looking spreadsheet going over like different things, and I was up 5 minutes before like classes open to pick my classes, and it was just like it was kind of stressful not having that person over your shoulder. Even though I don't like to be coddled, just having someone look over and say, okay, Ken, you're on the right track. You didn't have that at all. So that was kind of a big thing. You were kind of out there on your own, and there were people to help if you needed help. You could reach out to ask for help, but help wasn't right there with you to kind of guide you along the process. Another thing that I learned from matriculating is I guess the social, not necessarily the social, but just the academic interests that are in college classes. Like in my classes, everyone talks and everyone is prepared for class. And I was not used to that at all. The people showing up, haven't done the reading, have like notes about the reading, and ready to like give a 6 page speech about the reading is just like it really opens my mind. I'm like, wow, okay, like I can have an intellectual dialect with someone about John Rawls' two theories of whatever like in my philosophy class. And it's just a very, very great experience to be able to do that. And that really took me off guard. I was just like, well, I'll do the reading sometimes, but my peers have actually pushed me to kind of explore my academic interest a little more.
Just a friendly reminder to our audience that we will have a Q&A session at the end of today's discussion, where Kendall will have the opportunity to answer questions from our audience. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to type your questions in the comment section below. So Kendall, I guess what advice do you have to your peers who are matriculating to college or are entering or about to matriculate to college?
Advice I would give them. Well, first and foremost, I would tell them to not try to figure out their entire life this first semester. Is probably like a big thing. That's probably the advice that I've got from a lot of people, is that like you don't have to take every class first semester. You don't have to join every club first semester. You don't have to have your 4-year plan figured out today. It's okay to be like, okay, well, I have the next 3 days figured out and I'm going to go from there, instead of trying to like, even though I did like input all of my work into like a spreadsheet that I'm going to like, that I go through, but just taking things a day at a time has really helped me, and stop trying to be so far ahead that it really stresses me out. And I would say just enjoy the moment, take things day by day, go slow, because it's going to be a long journey ahead of us. So that's probably the biggest piece of advice I would give my peers.
Okay. So during these unprecedented times, I think we wanted to kind of end things on a lighter note. So what is something that you're grateful for?
I am most grateful now for just the people that I have in my life now, and the people that have helped me get to where I am today. I got an email and a couple of text messages from some of my old teachers like this week, and it was really like, wow, all these people have like helped me get to where I am today, and it just kind of like, it was kind of eye opening. So that's probably what I'm most grateful for.
Okay. All right. Well, we have a couple minutes remaining in our discussion. So we'll go ahead and read any questions asked by our viewing audience. Let's see. All right. It seems like we don't have any questions as of yet. So I guess if I were to ask you the most important trait for a Merge program manager, what do you think are a couple of those traits, would you say?
Most important trait for a Merge program manager. I would say first, just to be real with the students and just tell them straight up what expectations are and what needs to happen is probably the biggest thing. And also just try to be empathetic. I would say high school is hard. And it's a lot going on in the times that I've been immersed, like how between the ages of 16 through 18, it's been a stressful time. So I would say just to be cognizant of that, and I would say be empathetic with students, but also just be real with them. Tell them straight up expectations. And that's what our program managers did, and we had very little problem. Like everyone kind of met expectations and did what had to be done. So that's probably the biggest thing that I would tell them.
Okay. And let's say that school ends up opening up, the virus is gone, the pandemic is over, and you get to go back to the USC campus. What are you most looking forward to?
Probably just socializing again with people I never met. I'm a very social person, a people person, and just having that, because I did go to, when I was in Carnegie Mellon, the things that excited me the most were going out in the hall or in the lounge and seeing my hallmates or talking to them or just doing that. That was some of the most exciting things. So just being able to do that again and going out to lunch, just exploring downtown LA, going to Santa Monica. I'm looking forward to that, and I understand that we can't have that now, but soon. That's what I'm hoping on.
Okay. Any last remarks to our audience, our Merge supporters, our Merge donors?
I would just say thank you. Thank you to all who have assisted us and helped us in the journey. And it's been an amazing experience being a part of Emerge and this wonderful family.
Awesome. Well, that wraps it up for episode 2 of Emerge on the Reel with our special guest. Oh, we have one question. I'm sorry.
Oh, we have a question. Oh, okay.
Question from Bethany. What did you think of the application / interview process getting into Emerge? Anything that stood out or anything you would suggest for improvement?
I loved my interview personally. It felt more of like a conversation than like being grilled like a job interview. I thought it was great. I didn't think it was too difficult. The questions were like some of the questions were some in advance. I did kind of mentally go over them and like, but I would just say that keep it the way it is. I loved my interview. I had an amazing time. So yeah.
All right. Thank you, Bethany, for that question. All right. Well, that wraps it up for episode 2 of Emerge on the Reel with our special guest, an Emerge scholar, Kendall Carey. Kendall, thank you to those who joined us for today's discussion. And Kendall, we appreciate your time and good luck on your first year at USC.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.